All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast. Colorado Avalanche take care of business against the Flyers, 6-3. It's two games against the Flyers that they've pretty much flown right past them. So a lot to get to on this, and a special edition of our sound check, kind of a bittersweet one. So we'll get to all that right now. All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. I am your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Kyle Sullivan. On today's episode, we will be discussing the 6-3 Avalanche win over the Flyers, of course, and getting to a sound check, which kind of threw me off. It was kind of in the middle of the game. Got some really sad news about Taylor Hawkins passing away. So we'll get to that, kind of dedicate that to him, which only seems fitting.
Oh yeah.
So all right, we'll get to the game, but first things first. Follow the show, social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram. Questions, comments, concerns, opinions to lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow the show on our YouTube channel over on YouTube. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live. All right, Mr. Sullivan, Avalanche with a 6-3 win. Looked good for most of it. I mean, Flyers tried to make it a game, but you just felt like the Avs had this thing in hand.
Yeah, I think the Avalanche should just play the Flyers for the rest of the year. I think that the best games the Avalanche put out there are against the Flyers for some reason. I don't know if it's just how they're set up. Maybe it's just Yao coach teams the Avalanche have good success of. But
yeah, I know. Yeah.
It was a really, really good game, and production from a lot of the players that we talk about wanting to see a little bit more of. You get to see that tonight, and you got to see a Gordie Howe hat trick, which you can never complain with.
No, not at all. I want you to restart your computer again, because I'm getting static from your. I don't know if anybody else can hear that when Kyle's talking, but I'm getting a lot of static on his end. So. Restart your end, and we'll get him back in here in a second. But yeah, the Avs, I mean, overall they looked excellent. You know, I don't really think there's too much you can kind of go on here and say that things were kind of bad. The interesting thing, one thing that I saw was Cale Makar said that he felt like he had a bad defensive game, and maybe it's just because this thing was so in hand that I don't know why he's thinking that. Oh, we got Kyle back in here. So I was just saying how Cale Makar was saying after in the post game that he was saying that he felt like he had a bad game defensively. I don't know if that's a guy just trying to come up with something in kind of a game like this. The one goal was on him. I get that. I think it was the first Flyers goal. I don't know. I got to go back and watch the all the highlights to see what the second one was, because Hop is telling us that he got beat on two of them. The one, yeah, he did, but everybody looked bad on that goal. I thought it was just an ugly goal. Everybody was kind of out of position on that first goal. But I guys like him will take that personally. They'll take it as like, sure, I had a great game. I set the record for a franchise for defensemen and goals scored, but I'm going to focus on the things that I did wrong, and I appreciate that about him.
I mean, that speaks to Cale Makar's quality of a player. Like, yeah, he focuses on the things that you need to improve on going forward, that's a great quality. But I mean, give yourself a little credit, Cale. Like you just set a franchise record. Like, we understand there was some defensive lapses, but give yourself a little credit.
Yeah. A lot of records going on in this game. Cale Makar sets the defensive record for goals scored in franchise history. You had Mikko Rantanen scoring his 32nd goal, which is a career high for him. And then you had Kurtis MacDermid scoring. Period. And he did it on his birthday, no less. So, 2 thumbs up for him. I don't know if was because of his birthday. Dude had 14, 15 minutes of ice time Where are we here? He had just over 14 minutes of ice time. That is like triple what he normally has. So maybe it was because of his birthday, maybe because he was actually playing very well, and maybe because the game was kind of in hand. You're just gonna have those good shifts where you just constantly cycle people in and out. There was no need to do what you did in your last game when the time on ice was so just out of whack. You could keep it in line, and look what happens when you do stuff like that.
Yeah, and honestly, with his production the way it's been gradually getting better. He's been applying himself, and he's been playing not just like the defensive side, he's been contributing to setting up plays. And I think the more minutes is a reward. He's starting to build some confidence. And now he's starting to score a little bit. Like, it's been right there with these shots.
Yeah.
I've tweeted it before. I think this team's about to win the Stanley Cup with Kurtis MacDermid.
Yeah.
And the more it goes on, I think he might have that Valeri Nichushkin kind of like rehab stint with the Avalanche. It might be something in the playoffs.
He's getting more comfortable with the puck on his stick too, where the first more than half of the season, as soon as he got it, he would just give it up. He didn't want any part of it. He'd dump it behind him if he was behind. Like, he wanted nothing. There were times where he had the puck and turned the opposite way and went all the way back around the net and had a zone exit. And I'm like, who is this guy? But he's got that's what happens when with confidence. And we always say like he's only getting like 4 or 5 minutes a night. I'm okay the way if he keeps playing like that. Leave him out there for what he got. Leave him out there for those 14 minutes a night. He can do that. I thought he had a really good night, and maybe it's just because of the birthday. You get a little pep in your step when it's birthday time.
When he scored that goal, I brought up the Valeri Nichushkin thing. The way the team celebrated with him, it had that same feel to it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. In the first period, I mean, really the whole game, the Avs were just all over Philly. And in the first, I didn't want it to be one of those periods where it was all Avalanche and had nothing to show for it. And it turned out not to be. But it took a little while for the scoring to get going. Let me bring up the score sheet. Well, obviously it was your boy, Nazem Kadri, who finally got him on the scoreboard 7 minutes 20 seconds in. And after that happened, I was like, all right, like, thank God for that one. If we can at least just get one, because they're playing so well in the first. And I didn't want to have that, because the longer you go, the longer you give teams like Philadelphia, and even Arizona, like the longer you let them stay in, and I don't want to say Vancouver because Vancouver's in the thick of things, but the longer you let them stay involved, the more confidence they get when they're holding you to nothing through the first two periods like Vancouver did. All right, now all Vancouver's got to do is have one good period, and that's exactly what they did. So you want to kind of put your skate on their throat to as quickly as you can. And once they got that one with Makar, they rattled off, or excuse me, with Kadri, they rattled off 3 more for 4 in the first, and you just had a good feeling. The Avs haven't had a blowout game in a while. I'm trying to could bring up their schedule here, but something like this. When's the last time we had something like this? It's been a little while.
It's been at least since January, and you're talking about letting teams kind of hang in there and give them confidence. Carter Hart is that goalie you don't want to give confidence to, because he could get locked down in a heartbeat, and he's really, really good. And for the Avalanche to make him uncomfortable all game long, that was a really good game plan going into that game on how to handle Carter Hart when goalies seem to give us a problem.
Sometimes they can. Absolutely. Yep. So, all right, we're going to hear from Built Bar, and then keep this conversation going. You're going to restart your thing again because you just started getting choppy once again. So this is the loveliness of having a live episode when you're having some technical difficulties. But we'll hear from Built Bar. Kyle will restart, and we'll keep this ship moving. So Built Bar, you know it, you love it, the best tasting protein bar on the market. And have you tried the Built Bar Puffs? Kyle's not here to talk about them, but they are his favorite. If you like marshmallow, you're in for a treat. It's the first ever protein-infused marshmallow protein bar. They're fluffy, marshmallowy, and they're not just a protein bar. They are a treat and covered in 100% real chocolate. The Puffs are a fan favorite. They have some incredible flavors like cinnamony churro, coconut marshmallow, and banana cream pie. They are so good. They are bound to be your new favorite protein bar. And like I said, they are all covered in 100% chocolate, even the Puffs. They're low calorie, high protein. Replace your candy bar with these. They're better than your typical candy bar, which can be anywhere from 200 to 300 calories when most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, and 4 grams of net carbs with 17 grams of protein. So go to built.com right now, use the promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off of your order. Once again, the promo code is LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. All right, let's get Kyle back in here. And where should we pick up? So, a couple people in the comments talking about Nico Sturm. And you're going to focus on his faceoffs, which you should, because what was he for the day? 73% on faceoffs. I believe that's the second game in a row where he's been. This one was 73. I think the last game was 75. Look at JT Compher on faceoffs with an 89% percentage.
Those are good numbers.
I will take those. Overall, the Avs 61% to 39% in the face-off department. Thank you. That I know this is the Flyers, and I know this was, I don't want to say an easy win, but the numbers are going to be, all over the place for the Avalanche high. Like you're going to see a lot. If you go to the show's Twitter page, I posted the heat map, which is on Natural Stat Trick. It's ridiculous. There's the entire thing for the offensive zone for the Avalanche is green. And I don't want to say the entire thing. Maybe 87%, I'll say, is all green.
And we talk about face-offs. They don't mean that much, but you talked about how this felt like a dominant win. This is how you have those dominant type wins with face-offs, and you're controlling the puck and controlling the tempo. And it shows on that heat map. If you're winning face-offs, you can start to assert that dominance in the game, and you're not having to play from behind and rely on takeaways so much.
Dude, look what happened in the first Cale Makar goal.
Yeah, exactly.
It was on a power play. So obviously the first faceoff is in your offensive zone. It goes right to, what'd that power play last? 4 seconds? It didn't get thrown around the boards all the way down the ice. You got to do the slingshot. You didn't have to do any of that. That's what can happen when you win a faceoff zone. Faceoff win in your zone, especially on the power play. So, exhibit A right there. So, and even Sturm, he was everywhere.
Yeah.
And I wish that one goal went in, or it didn't go in. It wasn't a goal. Could have been a goal where it was kind of just out of his reach and he kind of dove for it and slapped his stick at the same time. And that would have been highlight reel material. He played great. So far, this is aces on a pickup for Sturm.
Yeah, Sturm with the NHL 22 goal that everyone does when you play online. That's the go-to move.
Yeah.
And if he would have hit that, it would have made Joe Sakic look like an absolute genius with what you're seeing
I know
from Manson and Sturm. This is you're getting that feeling okay, these pieces are really starting to click. You just need Cogliano to start contributing just a little bit. Yeah. And whenever Lankinen finally shows up, you could really start to feel good about this.
What is going on with that? With Arturi Lankinen and his immigration papers? I don't I'm not an immigration expert, so I don't know why it's taking so long, but I kind of feel like the way that the world is, you can move pieces of paper along pretty quickly. And that the fact that he was traded on Monday and it is now Friday and he still can't play is kind of a mystery to me.
And I think we wouldn't be so worried if we didn't watch one trade already get vetoed by the league, with a hiccup in a no trade clause. And you're kind of well, what is really going on here? And you're I just want to see him in an Avalanche sweater in Ball Arena and then I could be all right. As he'll hit the ice whenever.
Yeah.
But that's the concern right now. Like, what is really going on, and the vagueness of the terminologies.
I don't know. Like, this just feels like stuff that you should be prepared for on all ends. And I never hear of this stuff taking this long. Yeah, I understand that it needs to happen, but why it's taking this long, I don't know. Here's Matt. What's he got here? Funny stat of the night. Taves was the -2. MacDermid with the +3 for Kurtis. You know what? I believe you, Matt. I'm still gonna go look that up because I want to make sure that is totally legit. And he's right.
Wow.
He is right. Eric Johnson. Oh no, Eric Johnson was a plus. I thought he was a -2. You got Newhook with a -1. Taves with the -2. Cale Makar was a -1. Believe it or not. So even after the first, he was a -1. And I mistakenly put up. I put up on Twitter. I was like, "How is this possible that he's a -1?" And because the power play happened so quickly, I forgot it was a power play.
Yeah.
And that doesn't come off in a plus and minus when it's on a power play. So how do you score 4 goals and Cale Makar is one of your best defenders and he's out there all the time and he was a -1 in the first period? But
I know Bednar right now, his mindset is getting the perfect line combinations. And I saw Makar drifting a couple times on that second line pairing with the forwards.
Really? Okay.
That was early in the first. I don't know what he's trying to figure out with like that pairing and the second line forwards, but I saw him drifting late on some shift changes purposely.
Yeah. Sometimes defenders, it'll get mixed up. You know what I mean? Like, it's not always going to be your top unit and your top pairing out there the same amount of time because, you only have 3 defensive pairings compared to your 4 forward pairings. So sometimes they are going to get mixed up, but maybe he was purposely trying to do something. I don't know. I couldn't say, but he does, at least for the forwards, he like mixes things up a lot. And this could be a time in the season where he's trying things out. They have a comfortable lead in the West. I don't think they care too much about the President's Trophy. I think they're because they're sitting pretty on the Western Conference. Maybe this is going to be time to utilize, moving players up and down, utilizing like what you're saying, like forward lines and defensive pairings, and you have time to do that, especially with new guys coming in, a whole new crop of guys. Like you want them to kind of get comfortable. So
yeah, I've listened to Bednar talk today about post trade deadline, what he wants to do with the team, and he's talking about he knows what he's getting with these trade acquisitions. He mentioned this about 2 or 3 times, finding the right line pairing for the playoffs. And he said, I still got to play around with things to figure out exactly how I want to attack the playoffs. So I think he's doing that with that Philly game. And will he do this again Sunday against a more superior opponent? We'll find out.
Hop's going to go picket. Free Arturi Lankinen signs all over. What do we want? When do we want it? I don't blame you, man. I mean, we're going to talk in the next segment about who they're playing over the weekend. I really want him there for that. I want him now anyway, just because you want to get him into the flow of things, and especially who we're playing. It's going to be a fun one. All right, let's hear from Bet Online, and then we'll get to our sound check. And dude, it's over for me. It's so like, and another thing I posted to Twitter. Did I want Purdue to win because that's who I have to win the entire thing, or do I root for the number 15 seed keeping this thing going? And
I think this is why we do a hockey podcast.
I know, but in the end, the 15 seed carries on. How are you not loving this stuff?
Yeah, let's go St. Peter's Peacocks.
Yeah, it is college basketball's biggest tournament, and the Cinderella story continues. You can head on over to betonline.net, your number one source for all of your betting needs and sports info, from the latest odds, contests, and player props. You name it, you got it over at betonline.net. And it remains the best spot for all of your latest sports developments, including podcasts and reviews for all the leagues this season. And it's not just college basketball. BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sporting wagering information needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino games. So head on over to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and all of the action. That's betonline.net. It's where the game starts. So about halfway through this game, some really, really crummy news in the world of music was dropped. Foo Fighters drummer Taylor Hawkins passed away. Don't know any details right now on it. I know they're on tour. I think they're overseas right now. And the only thing that other than finding out that he had died, was a band member was the one that found him. So just horrible news across the board. And I have tickets to go see him this summer. And I paid a pretty penny for him because I haven't seen him in a while. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah. It's one of those bands where like, I don't care what the cost is. I haven't seen him in a long time. I'm going to see him. And that's, that's just a personal thing. It doesn't matter, in the long run, but just a phenomenal drummer and a phenomenal band, and kind of really sad news that broke pretty much halfway through the Avalanche game. So what we're going to do, obviously, is to pay tribute to Mr. Taylor Hawkins. We are going to have our sound check focused on him and Foo Fighters. Well, you're going a different route, but still including him, obviously. So go for it.
Yeah, I'm going with Taylor Hawkins' side band, his spinoff from the Foo Fighters, Taylor Hawkins and the Coattail Riders. It's a song of mine that I like. It's one of those personal like jams, but the title, it goes with the game. It's not bad luck. Like, this game was not a bad luck game. Like, there's nothing you could say like the Avalanche. Well, if this didn't happen, the Avalanche wouldn't do. No, this was the Avalanche doing Avalanche things. So not bad luck from Taylor Hawkins, the Coattail Riders. And one of the lines of the song that stands out to me every time, and I pulled it up so I get it verbatim, is everyone's a stranger in the end. You can be a loner and a friend. It is like it hits you, especially on a night like this at night with the news that we got. Rest in peace, Taylor.
Wow. Now he sings in that band, right?
Yes, he does.
Yeah, and that's his talent, man. Like,
yeah.
Don't tell me drummers aren't musicians. He's got some chops on him. So, and I remember when they played Wembley.
Mm-hmm.
They played Wembley Arena, and then Jimmy Page came out.
Yep.
For the encore.
Yep.
Dave Grohl gets behind the kit, and Taylor sings "Rock and Roll," Led Zeppelin's "Rock and Roll," and it's like, dude, close your eyes, and it's just like a young Led Zeppelin playing right now. It's incredible. You can find that on YouTube if you want. It's amazing. For me, I'm definitely going the Foo Fighters route. And probably, I don't know if I can't pin down my favorite Foo Fighters song, but it's definitely one of them, probably top 3. And it's called "Long Road to Ruin."
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like I kind of wanted to do like something where it's like, okay, you still have a long road for the Avalanche. You can still ruin this thing.
You
know
could.
What I mean? So we still have a second round that we haven't played yet. So for me, I thought that was fitting since it's one of my favorite Foo Fighter songs, and where the Avalanche are sitting right now, still a long way to go, my friends.
Mm-hmm.
So, we got one in the comments here. Who we got? We got Hop, old guy alert. After a frustrating last game, he broke out in this one. His sound check is "Philadelphia Freedom" by Elton John.
Good, man. That's a good pull. I like me some Elton John.
I always like some Elton. Absolutely. All right. So the other thing I wanted to get to before we get to the weekend is the Nathan MacKinnon had a slam dunk ahead of him, and the rim got the best of him. And I know we kind of like critique him maybe overly too much sometimes, but with his like puck handling, when he's over stick handling, I think this one just got away from him. And it wasn't the Nathan MacKinnon moving the puck around like a mile a second when he's kind of just standing there. It just got away from him, and things like that are going to happen. But it's probably embarrassing for him. He's probably going to have nightmares because of that.
Well, we won't have to worry about it too much longer. We're going to send him down to Loveland. He's going to play with the Eagles for a little bit. I think he'll be all right.
he just needs some time. He just needs some time just to hone the skills down. And
I think he's right there. He's right there.
He's right on the cusp of good things happening. But on the weekend, Avs are off on Saturday, and then first game is against who?
Minnesota Mild.
Wow, that's going to be a fun game because obviously two teams that made a lot of deals.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then obviously you have Tyson Jost going there, so you're going to go and visit him. And then they also brought in Delorier, so Kurtis MacDermid's going to get into a fight, and obviously the Marc-Andre Fleury thing. So, how on both sides, the last time these two teams met, again, they face each other, they kind of have different looks now. And Minnesota, obviously, they made some pretty good moves. So they're ready for you. They're not going to sit back and just say, hey, we're going to, we'll give it the college try against the Avalanche. It's like, oh no, like I know we're down in the standings, but this is a test for, down the road when, if we eventually play you guys in the playoffs.
And this is another game that Minnesota is going to play up to Colorado because they want to prove that their picks and what they did at the trade deadline mattered, and it's going to pay off in the long road. And I hear that Cam Talbot might get the start, which is not going to be great because if the Avalanche get out there and play like they do against Philly and chase Talbot out, you got Marc-Andre Fleury coming in there. So there's really no escape. And it's just the Avalanche trying to survive that game, seeing Delorier, seeing Jost, whoever that guy is, and like trying to, we're still figuring out the lines. Might get Lankinen, who knows? And I hear Bowen Byram might make the trip as well.
Yeah, they're saying he's going to make the trip, but no guarantee he's going to play.
So that's okay. There's a lot of variables there.
And like Hop is saying, the next two games are big ones. You got Minnesota, and then on Tuesday, Calgary, in Calgary. So you've played Calgary twice, but at home. You haven't played them north of the border yet. So, yeah, next two games are he uses the term yardstick. I like that. So they're important.
Can we pick up Delorier when we go to Calgary?
Just like a soccer rental or something.
Just tell them, hey, meet us at the 7-Eleven or the Timmy Hortons up there, and we'll pick you up on the way. Yeah,
just pay a rental fee or something, and then and on the way back, drop them back off.
Yeah.
It's gonna be next two. I agree. Next two games are big. Plus that they're on the road, and I just feel like the Avs have been home a lot recently. So you want to get back out on the road because that's, you're going to be doing that for the rest of the season and in the playoffs. So you want to face these good teams on the road because you think it's a hostile environment now. It's like Mona Lisa Vito and My Cousin Vinny. You think I'm hostile now? Wait till you get me at home. Yeah.
And that's another, again, to that point of that Hop made. This is definitely a yardstick game. This is going to be a playoff atmosphere going to Calgary. So there some big statement games and really locking in what the Avalanche are going to look like for the remainder of this regular season.
Mm-hmm. What happened with Nazem Kadri at the end of the game? Does anybody know that yet? I know, like, we're obviously recording this right after the game. They sent him back into the penalty box with, like, I don't know, a minute and a half, minute and 40 seconds left, after he had already served his 5 for fighting. Both players were done serving the 5 for fighting, and then they sent him back in there, and I don't know why yet. I'm waiting for an answer on that, and I'm trying to see if anybody's like tweeting about it. I'm sure they asked him or Jared Bednar why, and I'm sure there's an answer as to why. But that's what I put. Are we just doing that now? Like, nah, it's enough time has passed. Get back in the box for whatever reason.
It's the refs getting back at us for saying quit throwing them out. So when they throw them out of the box, they're like, nope, we're going to throw you in because that's what everybody wants.
Yeah, I don't get it. Something must have happened. We'll see. Hop wants to give DAP to Eric Johnson. Excellent game by him.
Yes.
Very good game. Very good game. And then Ben, he's got a sound check for us. He's going Foo Fighters Aurora. Fantastic track, dude. Fantastic. Yeah, a lot of Foo Fighters love is coming your way for across the country for the next couple days. So it's a good day for the Avs that they won, and then it's just if you're a music junkie like we are, it's such a downer, such a downer. So, but overall, a good win for the Avs. 51 shots on goal, and didn't they have 50 the first time they played them, or
I believe so.
49? It was either 49
Yeah.
or 50. So, good Lord, the Flyers got a lot of work to do, and he just didn't even when they tied it up, and then Makar had the goal, 5 seconds into the power play. They got, let's see, so they were up 4-1, and they're up 5-1, so they got it to 5-3 because they scored 2 goals in a row. But you just didn't feel like they don't have the power to really overtake this game and score that many goals on the Avalanche. So a lot of work to do on Philly's end, and when you're giving up that many shots on net, you're just not going to win. I'm sorry.
And that last game we had 50 shots. We won that game 7-5. 2 of those Philly goals, Claude Giroux.
Claude Giroux. Could have been on the other side of this time, but hey, we've moved on. We've moved on from. We're not bitter. We'll see you in the play. We'll see you in the Stanley Cup Finals. That's the only way we can see you. But
we'll bring the brooms.
Yeah, I'm over it. I'm over it for a multitude of reasons. But it's still kind of bitter because the guy that we got instead with Lankinen still hasn't played. So it's come on.
Where's our trade?
I know.
You have your trade at home.
Yeah, exactly. I hope he's going to travel with them. So you got Byram, who's going to travel and could possibly play, and Lankinen, who most likely will travel with them and really should be ready to go.
And still no word on Sammy G or Gabe Landeskog.
Yeah, Gabe, you're not going to hear probably till the end of April. Sammy's probably got another 2 weeks, I think mid-April. So yeah, it's kind of quiet on that front, which is fine. It's fine.
After Ryan Murray was month to month and then came back in 2 weeks, I don't believe anything anymore. So I'm watching every practice.
And now he's got like a broken wrist or a broken hand or something. So he's going to be out for a little while. So, but even that, you're out your captain, you're out one of your top defensemen, and then you're out Ryan Murray, who's the key part of the defense, and you feel fine. You feel like, okay, those moves that we made are kind of reasons that we're feeling okay.
I did think about that a couple times in that Philly game. Was, boy, if Gabe Landeskog was here. I thought about that a couple times, especially on the power play.
In the Philly game?
Yes.
Because I felt that in the Vancouver game.
Really?
You wanted him there for that, yeah.
Well,
definitely.
How things were rolling, you're like, oh, if Gabe Landeskog was here, it would be a shutout.
Well, that just goes to show you, we both wanted him in there for different games for different reasons, because that's how important he is to this team. So, but rest up, he'll be back. Time for the playoffs when it really matters. So, and that will wrap it up for us for today, everybody. Thank you for tuning in on this special weekend edition. And let's see. We got one more comment here. Let's get it in here. They need to stop playing top line so many minutes. How stupid it. We talked about it in the beginning of the episode, man. They kind of spread it around a little bit more. If you look at, you're going to have Cale Makar and Taves play a lot of minutes. Those guys are always going to play a lot. But look at the top three. You have Rantanen with 1730, McKinnon with 1750, and Nichushkin was on the top line. He had more than all of them with 20.
Yeah.
So he had more minutes than McKinnon and Rantanen. And that's where those guys are going to be. That's on the low end for them. I would think, there be more towards 20, and that's where I would like to see them. They can't be 24, 25. They can do that, obviously, but you would like to see it be a little bit more even. Those minutes right there, I'm 100% fine with.
Yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised if those minutes start evening out a little bit when they come back from Calgary, with possibly Lankinen joining the team. It gets you a little bit more even. You have more to distribute. Because honestly, the two new guys like Sturm and Manson, they had the least amount of minutes on the team tonight. So you would think we need to get them seasoned a little bit. So I say when we get back from Calgary, you'll see those lines adjust.
Yeah, and I mean it helps when you're up 4-1. you're gonna have the minutes are gonna be evened out a little bit because you're gonna short shifting guys, and you don't need to leave them out there for 45 seconds to a minute. So I thought it was night and day between the Vancouver game and this game in terms of spreading the minutes out. So this is a little bit more like it. And when you give Nathan MacKinnon and Mikko Rantanen 17 minutes, that's like a vacation for them. So they're going to be well rested, kind of in a way, against Minnesota.
And you wonder if the well rested lines have something to do with the faceoff numbers as well.
Good point. Yeah, you never know, especially towards the end when the legs are a little bit tired. Yeah.
You saw contributions from the representative from every line having really good production and percentages. So maybe those work hand in hand. We'll find out the more this goes on.
Yeah. Well, we will be back on Monday to talk all about it and revisiting with our old buddy Tyson Jost. Watch him get a hat trick. Oh, my God. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap it up for today. Thank you for tuning in, making it your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. Enjoy the day off on Saturday, and then we'll be back on Monday, like I said, to talk about the Minnesota game and get you ready for the day after on Tuesday for Calgary. Big 2 games coming up for the Avalanche, so we will be here to talk all about it. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli, and this is the Locked On Avalanche podcast.